What's up, you beautiful chuds, and welcome to the Let's Talk Horror channel, and welcome to the Creep Zone, the new Creep Zone 2.0, and welcome, as I said, to the Let's Talk Horror podcast, where we have very honest, very unrated, unfiltered conversations about something from the world of horror. And I mean, I should have said it probably first, but we're back. Let's Talk Horror is back. I couldn't be more excited about being back. This is our first episode back after being away. Of course, anybody that knows, I'm not going to go into it. I don't want to bore everyone again. I've banged on about it enough. But anybody that knows Let's Talk Horror, that enjoys Let's Talk Horror, knows that I had to unfortunately step away from the podcast for a few months. It was not something I wanted to do, but I had to. And long story short, it was fucking shit. And it really sucked. But what didn't suck, and what made it fucking so amazing, is all of you beautiful chuds, you absolute creepazoids, who are out there. And as soon as it happened, I was just overwhelmed, but in the best possible way, with all these incredible messages, all these comments, wishing me and my family well, hoping we can sort it all out, so we can get back to Let's Talk Horror, to bringing out all this amazing horror related content. I think it's I don't think it's amazing. Hopefully you think it's amazing. I always think everything I do is shit. But hopefully you will enjoy it. And the journey that we've been on has been a long one. And I really, really appreciate all of you for everything that you sent me messages, commenting. People were even putting in their own shows, like videos and messages, talking about Let's Talk Horror and the influence that it's had on them and the horror community, which is fucking wild to me. And that is... honestly, you are all the reasons that I'm coming back to this. Honestly, I could have just chipped it off and walked off into the sun. I wouldn't have walked off. I'm too lazy for that. I would have got on a scooter or something like that, or a one wheel, and gone off into the sun. And that could have been it forever for Let's Talk Horror. But you all have been so incredible that you are the reason that I'm back on this journey. And now we're here. And even, in fact, my guest today, who I will introduce in a moment, he is one of those people. I mean, even when I was away, he was putting in little promos of Let's Talk Horror within his own episodes. That's how amazing my guest is today, and how amazing all of you are with supporting what I do with Let's Talk Horror. You know that I do, I'm very honest in how tough and how much we can struggle with doing this. And I honestly couldn't be happier coming back, which is why my anxiety is absolutely through the roof, and I'm absolutely going to pass out. But we're here to talk about a movie. Of course, that's what we're here for. We're not just here to talk about saying I'm back, see you later, bye. I absolutely promise that when I would come back, I will come back and bring out episodes as soon as I can. And here we are already with a new episode. Talking about a fantastic movie, a movie that is, in fact, one of my favorite movies. It is another underappreciated and a definitely underseen gem of a movie. It is a movie that is incredibly influential and inspiring to me, outside of Let's Talk Horror, with the acting and filmmaking. It's a very, very important movie to me, and that's why I'm so excited about talking about it. But I'm especially excited about talking about it because, and I'm going to say it again, because the novelty will never fucking wear off on me. But today on Let's Talk Horror, we have Parker with me from Dissect That Film. Those that don't know, and as I said, it always brings a smile to my face. I accidentally, it was just purely by accident, I called myself BP on the show from the very first episode, and I was like, why the fuck did I do that? But it's it now. That's it now. It's stuck. But my real name outside of this is Brett Parker. And it really is insane to me still that out there in the world, who is my guest today, there is another Brett Parker who's fucking podcasting, and we've got the same little Leatherface figure. I don't even know where mine is. I think he's down here somewhere, and yours is there. Anybody who's watching the video will know what I'm talking about. If you're listening to audio, you're fucked, really. We've got the same little Leatherface figure. But anyway, Parker, thank you for returning and coming back to Let's Talk Horror.
Oh, it's so great to be back. I'm so happy that you're back doing this because we missed you.
Thank you.
We're glad that everything worked out for the better and that you're back doing what you're meant to do, which is talk
Yeah.
horror with us.
Absolutely, yeah, and I thank you. Obviously, like I said, while I was away, you were one of the people that were taking the time to message me and to pop Let's Talk Horror into your own podcast, and still put out there that Let's Talk Horror is a thing. So it means the world to me that you did that. It means the world to me that I know that I've got a Brett Parker brother from another mother. I knew I'd fuck that up. I even had that in my head. I was just like, I'm going to fucking nail that. And I fucked it up because there's too many things that sound the fucking same. But anyway, you know exactly what I mean. And it's great to have you on the show once again. And I what a way to start Let's Talk Horror returning with a couple of handsome Brett Parkers.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll try to find
There
the
we
other handsome one. I don't know what you're talking about, but I
Oh,
agree.
dude. Well, there we go. Well, like I said at the start, we are talking about the Hitcher. And very rarely, if you know the show, you know that very rarely I actually choose the movies that we talk about on the show. Every now and again, I'll throw in there and go, do you know what? Like, I love this movie so much. Maybe I would like to talk about it and find somebody else who enjoys the movie like I do to talk about it. You all know that a lot of the time on the show, I don't really like to sort of talk loads of shit about movies. A lot of it is talking about my appreciation of what a movie is or how it's made or the iconography. And I think The Hitcher is definitely one of those. But also, it's good to do a movie like this because hopefully, for those that don't really know about this movie, it sort of sheds a bit of a light on it. And then people can go, do you know what? I never actually saw The Hitcher. And now I really feel like I should do. If you haven't, then you bloody should have done. But The Hitcher, it was released in 1986. It was directed by Robert Harmon. I think this was his debut movie, and then he ended up going on and making a shitload of movies with Tom Selleck, which is so fucking weird looking at his like filmography, where it's just like The Hitcher and then just pictures of moustaches just constantly.
Yes, he directed I can't remember what it was like. Something Stone. It was like this one character that Tom Selleck made famous for like 20 years. And this guy just literally was like, yeah, I'll direct them all.
Yeah, he's just like, am I going to get a paycheck? Yes. I could possibly take what I did with The Hitcher and go and make some more absolute instant classics. I'd say instant classics. That's absolutely wrong. Some more cult classics. But then instead he just made loads of movies with Tom Selleck and his moustache. But I'm sure they're fine. I don't think I've ever seen one.
Me either.
No.
No.
So the film is starring Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and there are other people in it, but I'm not going to go into it because what's the point? They're like the main three of this, and then you get like other people pop up. I think there's this one guy that's like every time I see him now, obviously he's really old in movies, but he's still got the same face when he was younger. And I think he's like a cop in this somewhere, like later on with one of the scenes we get into. And I can't fucking remember his name. And I just remember he's got one of those gaunt faces.
Was he the guy that played the captain? The one with the cowboy hat?
No, he might be. I can't remember. I know it's later on. We're getting to the scene, but it's later on around the scene with a couple of trucks and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and you've got the guy that's trying to tell him that he's got to go and talk to her. But anyway, that guy, he's familiar and he's in things, but
Jeffrey
I never
DeMunn.
saw him in anything back then. Yeah, something I can't fucking remember. Anyway, but basically, the film centrally is really led by these sort of three characters, and we're getting to all of that. On IMDb, it's 7.2 out of 10. So as we all know, anything above 6 on IMDb is really good. But 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it is one of those movies where I can sort of see where people might be a bit divided on this sort of movie with the idea, the concept, the way that it plays out, the pace of the movie. This is the type of movie that really like works for me, like 100%. Like this is the type of movie that I love. The movie that you can almost suffocate in. Those sort of movies that you can't take your eyes off and your mind won't stop thinking about what's going to happen next and so on. But it is quite a slow burn of a movie where it takes a little bit time. I mean, loads of things happen in the movie, but those moments that happen, they sort of take their time. So I sort of feel with Rotten Tomatoes, it does actually show that sometimes in its reviews. Because for me, this is a fucking like crazy high Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I mean 65, I mean that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know what the critics compared to the viewers scores are, but yeah, this is definitely a movie where it's understandable why people would be so divisive about it, because as you were
yeah,
saying, like this movie does not cut a lot of the slow moments. Like there are moments
yeah,
where a character is just kind of walking for a good couple minutes, and it's like in a younger generation's eyes, like that's boring. Where like,
yes,
for us who grew up with this movie, and the way that this movie is structured and the way that events play out, it works. It works very well. Like this movie doesn't overstay its welcome.
yeah,
It's a crisp like hour and 40 minutes, and it gets to the point and it builds that tension throughout. Like even when things aren't happening, you're just kind of like something is going to happen suddenly
yeah.
instead of it kind of just slowly making its appearance.
Yeah, and I think because of that, the impact of those moments that happen are like far greater,
Mhm.
and they have more of an impact on you as a viewer. But you're exactly right. Like I think this is a movie that like you're rewarded for that patience constantly as well. And even though it has a lot of those moments, like you said, where it's like it holds on to a lot of things where it doesn't necessarily like need to. I still wouldn't ever, and we're getting to all this as well, but I wouldn't take any of those out because it still makes this whole complete piece
Mhm.
work so brilliantly. And we're getting to that, and I'll be interested to talk to you as well about obviously when you first saw the movie, because unfortunately, with this being the UK, we know that it's always fucking shit over here anyway when it comes to any movie. But Google synopsis wise, for those that don't know, while transporting a car from Chicago to San Diego, Jim Halsey, who's played by C. Thomas Howell, picks up a hitchhiker named John Ryder. What a great name, by the iconic, legendary Rutger Hauer, which I will speak about later on as well, nearer the end, because I did get to meet Rutger Hauer. I think it was about 2 or 3 months before he died, and that was incredible. But I'll talk about that. Who claims to be a serial killer. I don't think he claims to be a serial killer, does he? I could be wrong. After a daring escape, Jim hopes to never see Ryder again. But when he witnesses the hitchhiker murdering an entire family, Jim pursues Ryder with the help of truck stop waitress Nash. Not a great name. Jennifer Jason Lee plays Nash, pitting the rivals against each other in a deadly series of car chases and brutal murders. The interesting thing about that is that it does, if you read that, it plays almost exactly like what we're saying, where people that would say maybe watch a trailer, or maybe people that would read that synopsis would think of this being a more of a high octane action thriller, rather than the movie that you actually get from this movie. But if you are somebody that enjoys those slower sort of burn, slower paced movies that pay off in a big way, then you will really love this movie. And I mean, this is a movie that I've been wanting to cover forever. So the fact that we are now is exciting. But I did want to ask, like I mentioned, when do you know when you first saw this movie? Was this an early one? Was this a later one?
I first I remember seeing this in like the late 90s. I think we rented it from our local Hollywood Video, which is, for anyone who doesn't know what Hollywood Video is, it's Blockbuster just with a different name. And I think I can't remember if it was my mom or my dad who recommended it, was like, "Oh, that's a really good movie." And the funny thing was is like I think it was my mom, and she was the type who wouldn't let me or my brother watch rated R movies when we were kids because we
Right.
weren't old enough. Where my dad, because my parents were divorced, my dad didn't care. We got pretty much got to watch anything. And
Yeah.
so I think it was a movie I saw first with my mom, which just weird to think about. So I was probably around like 9 or 10 when I saw this for the first time. and I was just enthralled with just how terrifying Rutger Hauer is in it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I remember seeing it and having nightmares about him, and just the fact that like anytime like and you got to think like, I mean, hitchhikers are still a thing today, but I feel like it's not as common to see people out, throwing that thumb up trying to pitch a ride.
Yeah. I
But
think there's enough social media around of like true crime documentaries where people are like,
exactly.
I'm probably going to die now.
Yeah. So, but back in the, when I was a kid, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they were prominent everywhere. Like you couldn't drive a mile down the road without there's somebody wandering with their thumb up. And I just was terrified that one time my mom was going to stop or my dad was going to stop. And
Oh,
it's
right.
like,
Okay. In case
do
Rutger
not
Hauer.
stop for anyone. And that was always in my mind. I've never thought about it. This movie, like, put that into my head. Do not pick up hitchhikers, because Rutger
Yeah.
Hauer
Yeah.
gave me
Rutger Hauer in
nightmares.
this movie. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I cannot wait to really get into talking about that because that is, I mean, there's a lot to this movie to talk about and a lot more than what maybe other people, I don't know, like I always say to people as well, like because of the outside of this, and I mean it's a huge part of what Let's Talk Horror is. It's, and one of the huge reasons as I started this is because to be able to talk about maybe those the extra elements of what goes into a movie because of the acting and filmmaking side of it. So when I'm watching these movies with my two eyes, I always say like I've got the eye of like the viewer that is like, look, I want to either enjoy this movie or I'm going to think it's a pile of shit. But I've got the other side of me that watches it and goes, right, like it's destructing it all, it's taking it all apart and it's going performances, it's going cinematography, it's got an iconography, it's got sound, it's got design, everything gets taken apart, and then I put it all together back at the end and then go, right, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. And this is one of those movies to me that has very, very few things that doesn't work. But then once again, that can come down to taste as well. Like we've mentioned, there might be a lot of people out here that don't like it because of that. But this is one of those movies that, because of that other side of my brain, that has all those things. This is the type of movie that I love talking about because you can go into those moments and why they're there, or why they're filmed like that, and why they're structured like that. And that's why I love being able to talk about movies like this. With me, when I first saw this, this was actually I never got to see this. I remember seeing The Case in a Blockbuster on VHS, but I never got a chance to see it. And I always got annoyed because I wanted to, but I never did. And then I didn't watch it. I think I was probably about 14 or 15 when I finally got a chance to watch it because it came out on DVD. But this is one of those frustrating movies that has never been got a UK release on Blu-ray. One of the very, very many that has it. Apart from recently, where if you do love this movie, Second Sight. Do you have Second Sight over in your over the US? Do you have Second
I
Sight
think you're
films over
able
there?
to. I think like we can buy
You
stuff
can
from Second
import.
Sight, but yeah, it's usually an import. I
Yeah.
have
So
the
luckily they're
I have this. A friend of mine sent me it's the HBO DVD version of the movie, which I think was just a VHS rip. It
was
was
it
actually
straight from the TV?
pretty good VHS rip,
Yeah.
which actually made the experience like a way better than I was expecting, because it still had that really grainy look to it. You still had like
Yeah.
at some moments there was like the tracking lines, like it wasn't like off-putting, but it brought me back to the first time seeing the movie, but instead of seeing it in like
Yeah.
4K, which I can't wait to actually see this in 4K, but I had a great time watching that version of it, because it brought me
Yeah.
back.
Sometimes you do have to go like back to the past, go full nostalgia on some of these
Mm-hmm.
movies, and then go like, because obviously they're what they're originally intended to look like and to be, and for us to see. But if you're like me, who loves to see what they can do with like the 4K versions and
Yeah.
stuff, I could not recommend the Hitcher more, because like I'll talk about in the episode, the cinematography of this movie is just fucking phenomenal, and the way this movie is filmed and shot and looks. So if you love this movie, anybody out there, and you haven't got the second sight version, I couldn't recommend it more. It's got a great box set, loads of cool little things, but it's one of the best sort of transfers I've ever seen. It's so fucking good. But yeah, so I didn't get to see it until a little bit later on. And at that point, I was already on my horror journey. And at that point, I already knew about the acting and filmmaking of what I wanted to do. So this movie, when I watched this, and I think I was probably about 14 or 15 when I watched this movie straight away became like, I remember watching it, and I was very similar to you, but in two different ways. One, Rutger Hauer is obviously what we're talking about, because it's obviously going to be a main part of this movie for a lot of people. But Rutger Hauer is one sub part of it, fucking terrifying. And, he doesn't have to have, a hockey mask, and he doesn't have to have a burnt fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken face. He doesn't have to have anything apart from Rutger Hauer being fucking terrifying. But on the other side of it, you've got the fact that this performance that he gives in this movie is to me, and I'll go into one of the most insane, beautiful performances of a villain that I've ever seen on film. And it's one of those films or performances where if I was to ever be in anything, it's something that I would draw from this performance and go, look, like, if I'm going to play a villain, and the necessity or whatever, essentially what is the purest of evil, this is one of those movies that you can look at and go, look at Rutger Hauer's poor performance and go, well, that's how you do it at like the highest level. So you might get like a 1 out of his 10, maybe, I don't know, but it's fucking wild how good he is in it, and we're going to get into it all. But yeah, as Google says, the film opens, we're introduced to C. Thomas Howell, who I always think is someone else that I can't remember who it is. And it's Jim Halsey. And straight away, what I like about this movie is that we're straight away like right into the movie. We're always getting these fucking like dark visuals with the rain and everything like that. It's already setting up almost the tone of what the movie is from the start to what it's going to become. Rather than it being opening up in this bright landscape, we're right there claustrophobic in the rain. And once again, that comes down to the brilliant filmmaking of going, like, we could have done that, but this makes it more claustrophobic. This makes it more terrifying if we do it like this way. It picks up this guy. And we're introduced to, obviously, Jim Halsey earlier on, but we're also introduced to John Ryder, Rutger Hauer characters really, really early on. And I love the fact that we get right into it and we start this insane journey with this dark and horrible weather. But I love the fact that already we're already intrigued and inquisitive about who the fuck John Ryder is. It's like straight away, the film starts, he picks him up, and already we're into it. And I think it's such a great start to a movie.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't hesitate on showing how terrifying this guy is. Like, as soon as he gets in the car, you know something bad is about to happen. And it's great because you also see the look on Halsey's face when he sees him for the first time, because he's in his head. The funny thing is, the first line that he says is, "My mom told me never to do this."
Yeah.
And it's a perfect first line for what is about to happen for the next hour and 35 minutes of just absolute chaos and carnage.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like that first line and those first moments of this horrible storm that we're in, and it's dark and you can see nothing apart from them in the car and the way that it's shot. It really is like almost like he's picked up, and we go into it a bit later as well with what, I potentially feel that Rutger Hauer, is there an extra meaning to Rutger Hauer's John Ryder, who the fuck is Jack Ryder? I don't know, but John Ryder, his character, is there more to him, which I'll be interested to talk to you about later as well, to see if you think there's a little bit more to him or if he's just a fucking mental. But yeah, we're introduced to him, and you write that line because straight after that, what's insane about Rutger Hauer is that this guy is an insanely beautiful man, right? Like he's a very good looking guy. Like I don't know what there's something about this guy that like there's something really warm about this guy. I don't know whether it's his eyes or the fact that he's like a good looking guy or whatever, but there's something like when he's saying these things, you're like, nah, Rutger Hauer, like he can't say those sort of things. You know what I mean? But yet, but also at the same time, he is absolutely fucking terrifying from the second he gets in the car, from the way that like he's sneezing or whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? Like everything is purposeful with Rutger Hauer. He's that type of actor, but he's like almost as if he's getting a cold. There's the way that he's moving, the way that he plays with his hands and stuff like that, like the little things that he's doing, and you just don't like from the moment that it starts. I feel like every time I look at Rutger Hauer, I'm like I feel like there's no way he can be doing these things, yet he is doing these things, and he's doing some horrible things as he does throughout this movie. And it feels like the first moment when he lets him in the car, it almost feels like maybe Jim Halsey feels that with him at that moment until it all starts kicking off, where he lets him in the car. He says the line, obviously, my mum said never to do this, but he almost felt like you get that warmth from Rutger Hauer until Rutger Hauer is just like, yeah, I'm going to fucking kill you and everyone that I fucking can because I'm crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he states it later, when he's asked like why did you pick him up? He's like, because I wanted to help him. It was pouring rain.
Yeah.
He gets in, he's sneezing, and he feels bad for this guy. But as soon as he asks him like, where am I taking you? And he doesn't really answer him. And that's when Halsey immediately, I think, is like, oh, I made a mistake. This
I fucked
isn't
myself
good.
right over.
Because that next conversation, the next set of piece of dialogue that comes from Rutger Hauer, is it's just he turns into this completely different guy because he gets in just kind of as that regular guy. Thanks for there's really no like thanks for picking me up type thing. It's just he gets in, they introduce himself, and I'm just thinking to myself, as soon as Halsey introduces himself, I'm like, why did you do that? Why did you tell him your
Yeah.
name right off the rip? You've never met this guy before. And to be honest, even after you drop him off, are you ever going to see this man again? Let's say he's a regular guy. You pick this dude up, you drop him off wherever he needs to go. Your journey continues without what happens in this movie. Why did you introduce yourself? There was no need for that.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
yeah.
We don't need to know each other's names. We don't need to know each other. Where do you need to go? Type thing. But as soon as he introduces himself to Ryder, that's when I think things start to happen, because that's what triggers Ryder to be like, oh, this is my next victim. This is how it's going to go. And it's funny because as the movie progresses, we see the carnage left by Ryder slowly, further and further down. That's never actually shown. It's all off screen, which I think is, a lot of people are like, I would love to have seen him, do these horrific things. I would love to visually. I don't think that would have worked well in this movie. I love the fact that it's off screen. It's eerie. The tense. It's tense. You're uncomfortable. You don't want to believe that he would do something to certain people, and you really don't see the blood on his hands, pretty much. And I think that's a brilliant move by the filmmakers.
Absolutely, and even in like around those moments before they're driving and it starts getting a little bit too much for old Jim Halsey and things are going fucking insane. It kicks him out of the car, but even before we get to that moment, I think we do see one of the cars on the side of the road of some of his previous victims. I'm assuming that he's already killed. So, but you're exactly right. It's like the whole Jaws thing, isn't it? It's like if Bruce the Shark had worked all the time, we would have seen him more, but would it have the same impact? Is it scarier sometimes not seeing the things that makes us more terrified? Because, thing with Terrifier, we see it all and it becomes not scary, it just becomes sadistically fun. But with but with the Hitcher, for example, if we see it, I don't know. I feel like it lessens the impact of like exactly what you're saying. It lessens the impact of the where your imagination can take you because of the events that happen in the movie and the lengths that he's willing to go to do what he does in the movie. If you take those moments that we don't see, our mind can do whatever we want with it and say, fuck, like he could have done some horrible, horrible things to these people, and we don't know what they are. I feel that it's better, like you're saying, on a movie making standpoint, that we don't know what they are.
I think what's brilliant, along with the fact that we don't see his carnage, is the fact of when we pass the first car, which is the Beetle, and Halsey drives by and he goes, "What happened? What happened to that person?" And Ryder doesn't even skip a beat. He's like, "Well, I cut off his legs, I cut off his arms, and I cut off his head." And you're sitting there like you're terrified
Almost
because
like Jim is. You're like
yeah,
Jim.
he's like he doesn't know what to believe. He doesn't know if this guy's just very morbid and it's just this is his sick joke because you never see the victim, right? So you don't know if he's
Yeah.
telling him the truth or if he's just fucking with him. And
Yeah.
so you get I think that's what's so great. But then as you see Ryder doing bad things, then you're like, oh no, that story he said way back then, I believe it now. I guarantee you go back to that car, there's a guy who is just completely mutilated. And because you know for a fact that this guy is who he says he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And the as I said, the opening scene really sets up that really well. Like the first like 10 minutes or so, you'll really set up to the introduction of essentially learning sort of who Jim Halsey is, you know, a trusting kid who proves way too trusting. You get this, you know, you get introduced to Rutger Hauer's character, who's you know, the definition of evil. And that is the journey we're on. But what I love about it is that is essentially it. Like this isn't a twist and turn movie in regards to like a plot twist and so on. This is like as a structure and as a concept, it's very simple. It's literally in the name of the movie. It's a Hitcher. He picks up this guy, and this guy is a fucking loony, and then he's just it just becomes about the decisions made by Jim in regards to trying to to stop John Ryder doing what he is doing. But also, it's about the decisions that aren't made by Jim because John Ryder, well, Rutger Hauer is after him the whole time, appearing whenever he seems to want to, you know, which is what I'll go into a bit later as well, which I find really interesting. But the structure and the concept and the idea of the movie is very simple, which is why, like, you know, like on these episodes and stuff, I tend to not really go like scene by scene or what really happens in the movie anymore. But with this movie, it's easy. He picks up a Hitcher, and it's Rutger Hauer. He's fucking mental, and loads of shit happens. But what we get is loads and loads of really fantastic moments in the movie that are really unsettling. And really, like you mentioned earlier, this movie is all about building that tension and building that dread. And a lot of that tension and dread is built up by everything that John Ryder is doing to Jim Halsey. And there's nothing Jim can do about it. And it's almost as if there's no escape for him because no matter where he goes, there's something that John Ryder will do. And I love that because it's like, you know, there's no escaping this guy or whatever he may be, and that once again makes him even more terrifying. Which you know, which is obviously great writing, great directing, and obviously great performances as well. But we get introduced to I can't even bloody remember her name, Jennifer Jason Leigh or Nash. I should just remember Nash because it's a fucking bad name for a movie. You know, I don't know. I just every time they say it, I'm like, yeah, maybe you could have like thought of somebody a little bit better than Nash. Is there anybody else called Nash? Nash Bridges? That's it.
Yeah, I can't. I can't.
Just Nash Bridges and Nash in the Hitcher. But once again, so she is somebody who's working on like a roadside sort of diner thing. And Jim Halsey, he goes in there as well. And essentially that's a moment where it's almost as if he's like, as early in the movie where he's trying to escape Rutger Hauer and everything that's sort of going on. And she's, she's great. She's sort of almost comforting him a little bit. But she's also, what's the word? She's a little bit eager to get out of town, like a little bit like she wants to get away from it all. But I feel like she should probably slow down a little bit and figure out who that person she's going in with, because she sort of jumps on Jim Halsey's back like pretty quick,
Oh yeah,
not knowing all the shit going on.
yeah. She's like, she like a thrill junkie. Like the place she lives in is just boring. Like clearly you don't get a lot of people coming through here. There's not a lot of people in this movie, which kind of just shows how desolate this area is. And she just wants some excitement, even though it's horrific and extremely dangerous. And
Yeah.
she sees this guy and what he's going through, and she just wants to help, but also I think she just wants to escape her life.
Yeah, and then unfortunately it ends up the worst possible way for her. I mean,
Yep.
without going into like everything that happens in the movie, because otherwise we go on forever and ever. And I want to get into like the nitty gritty about talking, structurally about loads of different things in it. Let's think about the main moments in this movie that really stand out. So one of the main moments is always going to be the bit of the police station is always going to be fucking insane. So there's the moment of the bit of the police station where they take Jim Halsey in, because they obviously think that it's him doing it. They don't know about Rutger Hauer yet. Obviously, he's confessing that it's not him, and he's saying that it's John Ryder doing it. And you get a moment at a police station, which once again cements the whole moment, the whole thing that he can't escape. Like there's nothing he can do. And then even though Rutger Hauer is almost helping him, but he's not, because he's also setting him up. But in the police station, they take him in. But then after he's had a little bit of a rest, there's no one in the police station. Well, they are, but they're all fucking dead. That's a standout moment in the movie, because it's one of those impactful scenes where you're like, fuck, like where's this guy gonna go? And why is it Jim? Why is he doing it? And who else has he done this to? But like, why is he doing it like this? And it once again adds to how terrifying of a character Rutger Hauer is.
He almost feels supernatural in some sort of way.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
don't, because you're sometimes questioning how he's doing all of this, how he is one guy, how he is taking everybody out, because he doesn't just take one person out at a time. There was like 3 or 4 people in this police station. Later on in the movie, there's a bunch of other people that he takes out, and it's just him. And so you're kind of feeling like, I always had this theory in my head, and it actually popped back in my head after watching this last night, is he some sort of demon? Like he kind of feels like a demon. Like he is like this, like killing is what is feeding, his body, and he's some sort of like vessel to send people to wherever they need to go. But I think it's one of those things. I think it would have made more sense if Halsey was the only one seeing him for what he was, instead of everybody else seeing him. But like just the way he acts, how he's able to do the things he does, it just doesn't feel human. He just doesn't feel human. And the fact is, I
Yeah.
wish he never had a name. I think and the fact is we never really know if John Ryder is his actual name. It's kind of
I mean,
just
the
the
fact
name
that
he
it's
gives it to him.
Ryder as well, like
Yeah,
the fact
he's
that
a
his surname's Ryder as well, like
right.
he's just made it up.
Oh, absolutely. John
Oh,
is the most common name in the world. And then Ryder, yeah, it just makes sense that that's not his real name. That's just
it's
something he
like
thought of at that moment.
it's like one of those scenes like in movies where they're trying to think of a name and they're looking around and they're seeing like ketchup bottles or something like that, and
Yeah.
he's just sitting in a car and he's just like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "John," and he's looking around like Ryder, like he's just
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
as much as he can think of.
this it's one of those things where it's like it's not even maybe a demon, maybe he is the devil himself. He
Well,
is
I'm
okay.
really happy you said this, and I was going to say about this later on, but we're going to get into it now because I'm glad you said that because I feel exactly the same way. But I would go one step further in my mind that to say that when I watch this movie, that is almost definitive to me. That is almost exactly what I'm seeing. When I first watched this when I was younger, I don't think I was as definitive as I am for me now to think that he is a genuine because he does things like you mentioned, like he appears when you're like how. He ends up like putting like a finger in like the food at the restaurant thing. I think he does, doesn't he? Like, yeah, there's like a finger in the food that Jim
And the
Halsey is eating.
fries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, how's that happen? Because like, how's he gone in there and like sneaked into the fucking, to the kitchen and done all that shit? You've got like you mentioned, like in this scene that we've just spoken about, one of the standouts. He's gone into this police station and killed everyone. And at that point, I'm pretty sure like he doesn't have a gun. He's just got like a knife that he tried stabbing Jim Halsey in the dick with, which was not a nice scene earlier on. But yeah, and then obviously everything that happens in the movie, and we're going to like the other standout moments in it as well. But I'm to a point now where the more I watch this and the more times I watch this, the more that I do feel exactly the same as like what you're saying. I do think that he is a supernatural presence. I do think that he is some form of demon. He's either the devil or he's a demon doing the devil's work. He's either somebody that's, like maybe he was a serial killer that's now left on Earth to live in purgatory, continuing to do the things that he's doing. Because there are a lot of moments in this movie where, like even from the opening scene, there's the moments of where Rutger Hauer is doing these facial expressions or the movements or the way he says things, where it's almost like he doesn't want to do it. Like he's doing these things, but there's the things that he says or does where he's almost like, I don't want to be doing this anymore because I've probably doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. And he's destined to live on this earth to continue to do this thing for the devil, or even like you mentioned, he could be the devil. The more I watch this, or over the years, the more clearer it is to me that I feel that he is. And it's interesting the point you say, like about how other people can see him as well. And I think that that's interesting because you're like, well, could they? Where if it was part of just, but also I think then that makes it more exciting for me. The fact that like if he is a presence, a supernatural presence, a demon, it's more exciting that other people can see him because it takes it more into the real world rather than it being like, you can only see me, you fucker, and no one else can. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that he is. There is definitely more than a human with him.
Yeah, I mean, you could always look at it as he does this for a period. It's like the Jeepers Creepers theory, or
Yeah,
the story with that, or Pennywise and It, where it's like every certain amount of years he has to do what he does, and then
yeah,
he kind of disappears. That's why when he is caught at the end of the movie and they're going through we ran his fingerprints, we have no name, we don't have any criminal record, we have nothing on this guy. So I mean, yeah, it was 1986 where it wasn't as easy to identify somebody based on all those things, but usually something, I mean, a guy who's doing what John Ryder is doing, he's going to have something somewhere else, right?
yeah,
There's got to be prints, there's got to be DNA, there's got to be something that they'd be able to be like, all right, so we found out who he is, he's done this somewhere else. So the fact that we have nothing on him, he's like the Joker. Like he just causes carnage, and then everybody's like, who is this guy? No one will ever know. And so I think
yeah,
that can also feed into the fact that he is some sort of demon or the devil or some sort of supernatural being. I like the fact that we just don't get that explained to us, and that's
yeah,
completely fine with me. I love the fact that
yeah,
this guy is just tormenting this kid throughout the entire movie, and it's great because it's never, I mean, he always has some sort, you'll see that like evil look on in his eyes once in a while, but like you were saying, there's some moments where he just wants to stop, or he seeks comfort in certain things, and not and always in a violent way. So it's it's really hard to decipher who this guy really is, and to be honest, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, just like we've already mentioned in like without this movie, when it comes to like not seeing the things that he's done previously and so on, that to me is a better decision for the movie. And I think you them not giving you a definitive answer is even better, because then once again it opens it up for discussions like this, where there might be another podcast out there that's saying the absolute opposite to us and saying, oh, he's just some guy who's crazy, he's a serial killer, and he can just be wherever. Or it can be like a conversation like we're having, where you're inquisitive about his character and going, well,
Mm-hmm.
how does he get from here to here? How does he do what he does? Why is he doing what he does? I mean, there's even a moment where he asks, what he says. I'm pretty sure he says in the movie to Jim Halsey that he wants him to stop him. And once again, that lends into the whole, like, maybe this is a thing where, like I mentioned, like he did this before he died. Like maybe he was a serial killer and he did this before he died, and then this is how he has to live his life, continuing to do these horrible things to people for the devil or whatever it is. But there becomes a moment where that, like you do that and you think that that's what you want to do, and then suddenly he's been doing it for however many years, and now he doesn't want to do it and he wants it to be over. And that's his hell on earth, so to speak. You've given all these other people the hell on earth that they don't deserve, and now you get to have your hell on earth, and you have to live with it. But yeah, so you get the scene in the police station, fantastic scene, and once again, it's setting up the monstrous character that John Ryder is. Obviously, one of the other standout scenes is obviously what happens to Nash. And that is one of the scenes that will always stay with me. It's such a fucked up scene. And there's lots of the reasons why I like that scene. But also the scene that lives into that scene as well, where Rutger Hauer goes into the hotel room and lies next to her. And that's like so fucking creepy and so unsettling. And that's one of the moments that like really pushed this movie from, like, it feels like from a thriller to a horror, where you get those moments where you get like real like dark horror moments, because obviously that scene leads into where basically John Ryder has put Nash in between two trucks tied, and basically all he's got to do is push the pedal and then she's going to rip apart. And you think to yourself, then that's not going to happen, right? Like you think to yourself, like there's no way that they're going to do that. Like something's going to happen where Jim's going to do something, because throughout the film he's done like a few things that have like sort of saved himself, or other people, so to speak, or whatever. But you don't really expect a movie to sort of go that distance, especially because it hasn't shown you a lot of the stuff that, like we've already mentioned throughout this, it's already not shown you a lot of the stuff that John Ryder's done. But we get a fantastic scene with those two in the truck talking, and then unfortunately Jim ends up disappointing Rutger Hauer, John Ryder, too much, to the point that he does end up ripping her apart. And that, I remember watching that for the first time, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, like I did not expect it to actually happen. And you don't see it again, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the implications. It's like the knowing that that's what happened, and knowing that it happened, that lives in your brain longer, because you're like, fuck, like I didn't expect it to kill off this character.
Yeah, and for anyone who is disappointed you don't see what happens to her, just watch the remake. They show you exactly how that works.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
um, but yeah, it's one of those things where when he's in the truck and he's talking to Ryder, and he
mm,
gives, he puts tells him to put the gun in his face and to shoot him, and he's like, I can't, she'll die. And I think and you could see the look in Ryder's face, like, so you're choosing this one woman over way more bodies because more people are
yeah,
going to die. If you do this right now, you are sacrificing one person for the sake of, you know, dozens or however many more people he would end up killing until his end. And so that's another reason why I kind of have that, theory in my head about who he really is. like that
Yeah.
he is somebody who's seeking an end to whatever type of torture he's going through that we never see on screen. But that look of disappointment in his eyes when Jim says that, he's just like, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I do this, because of people like you who can't make the, the hard decisions to better humanity.
Yeah,
And
yeah, because it's never going to be the right decision, but it's like you're saying, like, you might save 100 people rather than one. What do you do? The morality side of it takes over. The human side of it takes over, and then you're like, yeah, but it's a difficult decision for Jim to do, especially with Nash, who's only just sort of met,
yeah.
But you're right. Once again, it becomes about a decision that's made, and how Rutger Hauer sort of reacts to that decision that's made. And then that's once again what makes the scene even more than what it could have been. And then it just gets all kinds of fucked up.
When you watch this movie, you know for a fact, like, and if you don't see it, then you're not watching this movie correctly, is the fact that this guy wants Halsey to kill him the whole time. The whole time, ever, like, as soon as he gets in that car, there is always an inkling that this guy just wants to die, and he wants it to happen at the hands of Halsey. I don't know why. We don't need to know why, but the fact is why would, I mean, when you watch this for the first time, I think your inkling is this guy's just a monster and he just wants to torture people. And this is what he's doing. He is torturing this guy. But if you look at the other victims in the movie, they're all quick. They're all, he wipes out that police station. He wipes out that family on that station wagon. He kills the guy for that first guy in the Beetle that you don't actually see. You don't see a lot of the bodies in this movie, which is another, I don't want to see certain things. Like, I love is just, you're just seeing Halsey's reaction to seeing the dead bodies inside the station wagon. But he's not doing that with Halsey himself. He wants Halsey to chase him. He wants Halsey to pursue him, and to stop him. And you have him in the car in the beginning, you have him in the truck, and then of course the end of the movie. It's just, he's like, I need this to end, and you are the one who needs to do it. So it's some sort of angels and demons type thing, at least for me. Anyone out there watching and listening to this episode going, what the hell is this guy talking about? This is after my most recent viewing, I've seen this movie dozens of times.
Yeah.
And I think this last viewing is what kind of opened my eyes to the possibility of like this supernatural type thing. And that's fine. It's not over, like, I'm not, telling you that's how you have to view this movie. View this movie as he's just a messed up serial killer. He is doing this. He is torturing this guy. That's how I viewed it for a long time, but I'm seeing it in a different way. And the fact is, this guy wants this one man to kill him. Because guess what? There has been many, many opportunities for a lot of other people to kill this man, and they can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
and and what's great is that, I mean, there's two of us who feel exactly the same way on this podcast. So anybody that thinks we're wrong, well, fuck you, because now that's 100% of people on this podcast. So
listen, if you don't agree, that's fine. I will accept
exactly. We're just, I think this is one, and the fact that you said it as well is that it is one of those things that maybe it comes over time after watching this movie, where you watch it on multiple viewings, that it becomes more apparent that this is potentially it. Because you're exactly right. Like, what you're saying is that he wants Jim Halsey to kill him, but it's almost like everything that he is doing in the movie, like, he's not doing it to kill Jim. He's doing it to show Jim what is going to continue to happen if he doesn't kill him.
Yes.
Like, he's taking out all these people at the police station because of Jim.
He could have killed Jim. Jim was sleeping the whole time. He could have walked right into that cell and blew him away.
Exactly. And it's almost as if John Ryder is saying to him, you have to kill me. Like you're saying, you have to kill me. And if you don't, this is what I'm going to continue to destroy your life if you don't kill me. And all the people that you have met along the way, all these people that you love, all the people that you're on the journey in this movie with, and all these people that you don't know, like the kids and the family, they're all going to die because of you, because you won't kill me. And that was obviously, like you said, when we get to the end and Jim finally, does kill him. And you can tell that it's like, this is what John Ryder wants. Like, this is truly what he wants. And once again, it plays into the demon, the devil, the supernatural element of it, of going, you've got to be the one that kills me. And if you're going to be the one that kills me, you release me, so to speak. And I no longer have to live with this. But it's almost as if the whole movie, he's just egging him on to say, you have to do this. And if you don't, I'm going to destroy your life. And I think that that's such like an interesting way to look at it. Even if you don't sort of agree with like the fact that he might be a demon or there is a supernatural side of it, I think being able to look at it that way is what makes it more interesting and more intriguing. To leave it like to give you that ambiguity of everything. Obviously the ending's not ambiguous, but the of who the character of John Ryder is a lot of like open to a lot of interpretation. And that's obviously great writing, great directing, and obviously being able to have a great performance from Rutger Hauer and everybody around him. To go a little bit deeper, obviously, because I do like to try and single out set parts of the movie and so on, and we go through them. But this film is full of fantastic performances. Obviously, C. Thomas Howell is fantastic as Jim Halsey. He goes from, the usual sort of like what you get from this movie where, he's a nice kid. You don't want anything to happen to him. And then these bad things happen to him. And it's about the way that he reacts to them. And obviously throughout the movie, it's more about understanding, like what we've already mentioned, where he starts to understand the journey that he's on, that his journey has to end by ending, Rutger Hauer's journey, so to speak. So he's fantastic in it. Jennifer Jason Leigh, obviously, is Nash. She does exactly what she needs to in it. Obviously, she's if she wasn't so eager and didn't want to get out of town so much, she probably wouldn't have been killed by a couple of trucks. But obviously, we did also get that great scene. So it's one of those things. So she's great. But for me, like, this is like once again like the Rutger Hauer that we love. Like, as in when we watch Rutger Hauer movies, the one thing that we pretty much always take away from Rutger Hauer movies is how fucking good Rutger Hauer is. Like, it's he to me personally, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. This movie is in my top 10 favorite performances of all time. I personally don't think that there is a better depiction of pure evil ever put on screen. I think this is the greatest villain performance I've ever seen in my life. Obviously, loads of people will completely disagree. They have their own things. I just think that he is the devil incarnate, irrelevant of what we've been talking about. But the way that Rutger Hauer performs it, with the way that he always does it, like I've mentioned, like the way he will say things, the way he pronounces stuff, the way he plays with his hands. One of the things, I mean, the standout scene for me in the whole movie, my favorite scene in the whole movie, is the moment that they're having in the diner. And they're having the conversation, and they've got the guns under the table, even though Jim Halsey hasn't got any bullets or whatever. But that moment in the diner is my favorite moment in the movie, because it's just a conversation between these two. But yeah, even though it's just a conversation, I'm still absolutely utterly terrified of Rutger Hauer in that moment, because the things he's saying, or the way he's saying it, or the way he's responding with a smile to the terror and how terrified of Jim Halsey is. Rutger Hauer's reveling in it almost, like he's enjoying it. And then he puts obviously the coins on his eyes and so on like that. And it's just like, you think to yourself, there are so many people out there that wouldn't be able to do this. And there's not many people in, that there's been in this sort of world of, of performance and movies that could do anything as well as Rutger Hauer did when it came to playing either bad guys like this, or people who were doing the wrong things, but there was still some form of humanity to them. Like, obviously, we saw in Blade Runner, he's not human, but there's something there, Rutger Hauer is brilliant at playing troubled characters, but making you feel for them, even though sometimes you shouldn't. And I mean, you know, this is just my favorite. I fucking love Rutger Hauer so much in this.
Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic performance because he's not just running around with an evil look on his face all the time, just murdering people left and right. Like everything to him has a reason. And talking about that diner scene, it's fantastic because you get this terrified look on Halsey's face because of what he witnessed with this guy, like literally almost died by this guy's hand earlier that day. He goes to this diner. As soon as the old man who works at the diner leaves the room is when Ryder sits in the booth and they have their conversation where Halsey is petrified. He's got the gun under the table. And we, and for anyone who's seen a revolver before, I was looking at it already going, there's no bullets in it. Even before Ryder says it. Like, and the fact is that Ryder says it too. And he says, pull the trigger or I'm going to pull mine. And all he does is put his hand under the table in the shape of a gun, but you know that he doesn't actually have one. And I just love that interaction with them. And as soon as Halsey leaves, that's when the old man comes back out. And so that's when you slightly get that inkling, like, is this guy, can anyone else, can anyone else see this guy? Or is it just Halsey who is witnessing the atrocities? And then of course, we get him leaving and hitching another ride. And that's another thing is like, every time he hitches, someone stops for him, which is which is another thing, because I feel like in order to make it more human, you would have to have that person like, oh no, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to even bother. But it's like every time he was out there for 2 seconds and all he does is a quick thing, guy picks him up. So it's like, there's got to be some unseen power that this man has where everything kind of falls in place for him. And he is testing Halsey every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely, every step of the way. And I just truly, I feel like I genuinely think I might actually be in love with Rutger Hauer. I think like I might actually be in love with him. I just think there's just I don't know. I think it's just because I adore everything that he does, and I think just everything that he brings to this character and every character he always does. I did mention obviously, like I did meet him not long before he died. In front of me over there somewhere, I've got a picture signed by him. And a lot of people obviously were there to talk to him about Blade Runner and so on like that. But I purposely wanted to speak to him about the Hitcher, and I wanted to talk to him about how this is genuinely one of the reasons why I wanted to be an actor, is because of this performance. Because I just was, every time I watch it, I was so fucking mesmerized by feeling what he wants you to feel, and not many people can do that. Like, I am the devil, I am a demon, I am whatever I am, but I want you to feel that through the screen in your home, or on the big screen. Like, there's not many people that can do that and command what they want you to feel, and you feel it. Rutger Hauer was one of those people. Even in things like Hobo with a Shotgun, he's fucking great. It's a good movie. I enjoy it, but he elevates that movie because of how fucking good Rutger Hauer is. So, this is one of those movies that I always go to in regards to performance and so on, because, they're all great in this movie. Everybody in this movie is great. But Rutger Hauer is just he's just one of those people that's always like at an 11 every single time that you watch him in a movie. But there's so much more to this movie than like, as we mentioned earlier, the director of this movie was Robert Harmon, who obviously went and made every single Tom Selleck movie. But there's so much, and I think this is why I really love this movie, is because of how well it's made. We've already spoken about a lot of the structure in regards to, like, he shows you what he wants you to show you, and that is clearly obviously a purposeful decision to do that. But I think, like, this is a very, very well made movie where it's made by somebody that understands, like, the technical side of filmmaking as well, because mustn't have been an easy movie to film. And what I mean by that is that some of it, like the opening scene, is all in the dark and all in the rain, and you've got to make sure you've got the right lighting and stuff. But one of the things that's really difficult to do is to make a movie look very, very cinematic with natural light. Natural light can be the greatest thing in the entire world for like low budget movies and so on. And for like people like me who make low budget and no budget movies, like natural light can be great. But it's also something that can be really hard to make look cinematic. And a lot of this movie is filmed, you know, in this bright sort of desert landscape, you know, like this sort of isolated area that it's filmed in. But yet he gets some of the most beautiful fucking shots that I've ever seen in this movie, with these beautiful like wide anamorphic shots. You know, almost like a bit Spielberg-esque, you know, some of them, where you've got these great, you know, very Amblin, so to speak, you know, great, beautiful, wide shots where it's just like, you know, somebody in the distance. But this is a very, very, very beautiful looking movie as well, which is why that's another element to why this movie is so great, is that it's not a film with great performances that look like shit. It's a film with great performances that's structured well, and created well, but also looks like really, really stunning.
Oh, absolutely. This definitely gives me feelings of like Duel, which was a
Yeah,
early Spielberg movie that was
yeah,
you know, set in a very desolate part of California, and that's kind of how this kind of feels. You know, there's not a lot around. It's desert and road, and Duel is kind of similar, and the truck is Rutger Hauer in a way where it is just absolutely tormenting our main character throughout the entire movie until the end, when that, you know, entity is killed or destroyed or whatever. So I definitely, watching The Hitcher as an adult and having seen Duel many times, I definitely get a connection. I feel like there was some sort of inspiration between, you know, from Duel to The Hitcher.
yeah, absolutely. And this film also reminds me, and a lot of that is because of um, the the evilness of, like say, Near Dark. Like Near
Yep.
Dark is a movie that's obviously very similar, I would say, because Near Dark is one of those movies that I think like is also cinematography wise absolutely stunning. Like that's a fucking beautiful movie, because it just like it goes from like nighttime to nighttime to daytime, so to speak. But it's like every single shot in both these movies are just so fucking well put together and so stunning, and like the way that they've set the shot up is like to make it as cinematic as they possibly can, which I talk about a lot, because I say obviously that sort of art of cinematography I feel is definitely lost, or like only a few people are trying to do that still. I
Yeah.
feel like trying to make a movie look like a movie, like things like The Hitcher and so on, I feel that we have lost that quite a lot. And so it's always great when you get to, you know, you go back to movies like Hitcher or Near Dark. But Near Dark is a movie that's full of, once again, like bad people, you know, like they are bad people in Near Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And we get that in the Hitcher as well, where the Hitcher, you know, Rutger Hauer, he's a bad person, but it's the way that they show that evilness as pure evil. That's what I feel is like really similar between them. You know, there's not really anything good from the characters that we get in Near Dark, and there's nothing good about Rutger Hauer and John Ryder in The Hitcher. So I feel like there's definitely a lot of similarities between, like, they're my like a great double bill is to watch The Hitcher and Near Dark. Like that's, if anybody wants a great double bill, that's, you know, that are quite similar in regards to tone and cinematography and filmmaking. Those two are very similar. Both great movies, but both full of absolute fucking nasty bastards. But one of the other things, there's a lot of stuff, like I just said, like cinematography wise, it's another layer to this movie. I love the way this movie used music really, really well. It only has music when it needs to. You know, like it's not like doing this crazy like thumping fucking score when shit's happening. It's like it has to earn it, you know. And I think that that's a really great. Once again, it comes down to great filmmaking. But I think like there's just a constant undertone of music within this movie that accentuates the things that are going to happen or do happen. And once again, it works throughout the movie. Yeah, I just think that visually this film is absolutely great. Obviously, we get a great. Everybody knows that I love explosions in movies, and I love it when they're done well. And this has a great explosion that's filmed really well at the gas station, and you're sort of inside the gas station, but it all blows up, and it's just once again really, really, really filmed well. Um, and once again, just like we've already sort of mentioned it as well, like the isolation, the tough, the terrain and everything as well, like the way where they filmed it adds to what the movie is trying to depict to you, that and make you feel that he's trapped, Halsey's trapped, there's isolation, there's nothing he can do. And I think the surroundings, that he can't escape, like he can't just go to the nearest town by walking. I think that adds to the movie as well. One thing, I think it's also written by the same person. I think it's Eric Red. I think it is. Is it? For some reason, I was going to say Eric the Red. I'm pretty sure that that's the guy from Army of Darkness. I'm pretty.
Yeah, it was written by Eric Red.
Yeah, that's it. So Eric Red also wrote Near Dark. So he wrote this one and Near Dark. So yeah. So you can tell. You can absolutely tell that it's written by the same person. But yeah, so there's so much to really love about this movie. It has fantastic, insanely good performances, especially Rutger Hauer. It has this great cinematography. It has great sound that really earns the moments that it's in. It has these really great standout moments that you feel the tension, you feel the dread every time you watch this movie, because you're like, fuck, like I don't ever want to go through this, and I hope that I never do. And you feel that like the whole way through, because you do when you watch movies like that. You're like, you start to think to yourself, God, what if I was doing that? And you're like, oh God. I mean, I would probably end up killing Rutger Hauer straight away and then driving off into the sunset. But that's just me. But you feel for Jim, and there's something there with Rutger Hauer where you're like we've mentioned, that there's more to his character, and I'm glad that you feel the same way, and I hope there's other people out there that do. But like you mentioned, anybody that doesn't think that way, that's the exactly right way to think of it. We all take from these movies what we think and what we think. Have you got any criticisms of this movie? Like, have you got any things that you don't like or you think that could be different?
To be honest, after my most recent watch, I don't really like Jennifer Jason Leigh's performance. I feel she's
Really?
very dry and like there's like no emotion to her. Like she just kind of
Yeah.
feels like she's sleepwalking through her performance. Like her dialogue is just like she's tired all the time. It's not awful, but it's one of those moments where like when it comes to the moment she dies, you feel bad because of course she dies, but it doesn't have that same impact that you feel it should. And it was something I remembered because I remember watching the remake shortly after watching this one. I think the remake came out in 2007, so I watched it shortly after it came out. And I remember that scene in the original, and I remember they rewrote the remake so that the main, it's not a
Character
main
is a woman.
person, it's
Yeah, it's
a
two of them.
couple. So when they do that moment where one of the characters is tied between the trucks and you're having that same situation, it feels more impactful because the person that is having to deal with the situation has more of a connection with the person who is the victim. um where it's like, yes, we feel bad that Jennifer Jason Leigh's character is in this situation, but when it all happens, like I know it's an impact for our main character, but it doesn't seem as impactful as it should. And
No,
for
she's just
me,
another victim.
yeah, and for me, her performance is just very dry, and it doesn't give me enough to really care for the character. Like,
Yeah, like when she's dead, you're like, yeah, she's dead.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I do like the setup to her death where she wants to call her dad and tell him then she literally is on the phone like, I'm okay. I think everything is fine. I'll be all right. And immediately it's like, nope, you're not going to be all right. It's 10 minutes later, you're going to be dead. So I think that's one of my minor criticisms. Like, she doesn't take me out, of course. I love this movie and I
No,
love what I think her character is crucial to a point with Jim Halsey. Like, it's giving him something to care about, but it's also like she puts herself in that situation because he didn't
yeah.
want her to be part of the situation. She kind of just hops in the car
She tagged
and
along, yeah.
yeah, and is now a part of everything. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I think that is my only true criticism of the movie, and it's not even that big of a deal for me.
The only thing that I have, and it's one of those things that's more like apparent, like many things, like we've said throughout this, like the more I watch this, the more like things are like cemented, or more like things you sort of pick up and so on, like that, or feel things. I think for me, I feel like the ending is the only thing I feel like we missed out on something a bit more. Um, like it felt very abrupt, for because we've been through a movie where there's so much like an emotional struggle, so to speak, like Jim Halsey. There's so much emotion to this character, and for me, what I wanted is a tiny little bit of thing at the end of the movie where there was more of like a head to head between those two on a personal, emotional level. That's all I wanted, a little bit more, because it was just pretty much like he's got a shotgun, he's shooting at him, he runs him over, gets out of the car, shoots him, he's dead, and so to speak. So for the movie, it sort of works that way because it sort of has to. But I just wanted a bit more of an emotional ending from, like, more about why are you doing this, why me, all that sort of stuff from Jim Halsey, and more of an interaction between those two before he did it. Like I would have loved if they'd have ended it as in he was just essentially having a conversation and Jim Halsey is essentially above Rutger Hauer and he shoots him point blank in front of him. Like, I feel the impact of that would have been greater, but I felt like it would have been a better payoff for the character of Jim Halsey, that we see that that's what happens, and he manages essentially to get out of all of this emotion that he's had during this time and almost vent it on screen. That's the only thing that I would like a little bit differently. Like, I like the ending. It's not that I don't like it. I like the ending, but I just felt like there was a different way where we could have got a more of an emotional punch to the ending, that would have sent off John Ryder to wherever he's going in a different way. Like, I felt like the movie's such a dark movie that I felt like it wouldn't matter if they took it to an even darker place, ending it, shooting him right in front of us, with a more of an emotional scene. I think it would have had more impact.
I can see where you're coming from. I'm seeing it as it's everything falls into place as it always does for Ryder. And so you notice that nothing happens in that bus until Halsey shows up with the truck. As soon as he
Yeah.
shows up, pulls up behind that bus, that's when the back door opens, and you notice that Ryder has gotten out of his chains. He has killed all the cops on board, and he does a nice swan dive into the windshield of the truck. And I love that the first thing he says when he goes through it is, "Hey, kid." And
Yeah.
it's just terrifying. And it's one of those showdowns where, yeah, you could kind of see, I can see where you're coming from, where it's not as impactful. But for me, I'm like, this is Ryder's way of being like, this needs to end now. Because when you see, Ryder gets thrown out of the car and he has the shotgun, he starts shooting at the truck, he could easily just kill Halsey at that moment. Like, instead, he is
Yeah.
shooting everything on the car just to kind of, he's giving Halsey time to do what he needs to do. Because I feel he doesn't want to kill Ryder or kill Halsey. He wants Halsey to kill him. So
Yeah.
when he finally hears the car turn on, it's not a look of fear in Ryder's face. It's kind of a look of like, finally,
Relief.
like
Yeah.
something is going to happen. And so when he gets hit by the car and, Halsey goes up and checks on him, and you're like, he's not dead. Like anyone who's seen horror movies before, he's not dead. You got to double tap,
Yeah.
And when he gets up, he could have easily ran at him, attacked him. Instead, he just throws his shackles to pretty much be like, I'm up. Let's do this. Knowing Halsey has the shotgun. And then we get those
Yeah.
blasts. And I don't know. I really like how this all ends. It's not a big, bombastic fight between these two guys, this final showdown. It's just this guy is ultimately giving up and just wants it to end.
Yeah.
And then when it ends, it ends. It's
Yeah.
like
You just
Ryder
that's it.
dies, credits roll. And I love how the
Yeah.
credits start with Halsey lighting up a cigarette at the truck, and we get, that great score. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just it's satisfying for me. I really, you just sit back and you're like, you breathe a sigh of relief, it's over, and you just want to watch it again.
Yeah,
Want to
that's it.
start
I
it
suppose
over.
it's just, yeah, it's interesting as well. Yeah, because I suppose it's sort of like it ends because the ends the way that it does because that's the end of Ryder's journey.
Mm.
Like that's it. Like he's now essentially got what he wants. I don't think that I've ever seen, out of respect for this movie, I don't think I've seen any of the other Hitcher movies. I know that there's how many is there? I think there's like 2 or 3 other ones. I
Are there
think.
sequels?
There's like a Hitcher 2, I think, but because obviously they did the remake, which obviously I don't like. Although I think that Sean Bean is absolute like great casting for the role. Like if there was any other person that I would want in his role, it would be Sean Bean. But I'm sure there's a sequel. I mean, I could be completely wrong. There might not be, but I feel like there is.
So there
Is there?
there is. There's a Hitcher 2, which had Jake Busey,
Oh,
and C. Thomas Howell came back as Jim Halsey.
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've never seen them
I've
out of
never seen
respect for
that
this
one.
movie.
I didn't even know there was a sequel to The Hitcher. I only knew of the remake because that was one that I had seen shortly
That's the that's
after.
the that's the Platinum Dunes one, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm actually a fan of the remake. I think Sean Bean is he's no Rutger Hauer, but I
Yeah,
think he plays well into the role of John Ryder. And the thing is because it's a early, mid 2000s
yeah,
remake, it's a lot more gruesome. Like you see a lot of
yeah,
the kills, and you see like the iconic truck scene. You kind of see the aftermath of it, and so it's not, the visuals are just more in your face, where I like the subtlety of this version. But
yeah.
I actually was gonna watch it after watching the original, but I wasn't gonna pay for it at that time, so I said screw it, I'm not
No,
gonna watch it right
and
now.
also
I
also
don't own it,
now
so
now you can just watch Hitcher 2 at some point and be like,
yeah,
this is shit.
I'm actually interested to check it out and just to see like what
Yeah,
they do with it. Like Jake Busey is very good at playing a psychopath. I mean, if
yeah,
anyone's
yeah,
seen The Frighteners,
yeah.
he
Absolutely.
definitely has that, and he's a Busey. They're always going to play
And he
creeps.
yeah, he did the crazy,
Yeah,
crazy UC, and it'd be interesting to see. Actually, I mean, it's made me sort of want to watch it because I didn't know that I knew they did sequel, but I didn't know that T. Thomas Howell was in it. So that it'd be interesting to see where they go with that. Because you're like, is he? I mean, if he's Jim Halsey, what is he? Like, imagine if
it
the
said his name
sequel.
was Jim, so I'm guessing he's back as his
How
character
fucked
from
up
the
would it be?
original.
Like, how insane would it be if we haven't seen the sequel, but like it leans like massively into the supernatural side of it, where Jim is now the Hitcher. Like he's the guy that's doing it. Like at the end of that movie, he then takes on like what Rutger Hauer was doing, and and then that's what happens in the movie. I mean, it's not going to be that, but that will probably be better than what the sequel actually is.
Yeah, so for the IMDb plot summary for The Hitcher 2 is after being discharged from the local police force, Jim Halsey travels to Texas with his girlfriend Maggie to force down his demons and visit an old friend. Along the way, however, Jim and Maggie picks up a demented hitchhiker who has diabolical plan. What? Why would the plot be that the guy from the original movie would then pick up a hitchhiker?
Yeah.
Do we not
world's
remember
dumbest
what we went
person.
through the first time?
Exactly.
I'd be
I know
like,
he's probably got
never
like
again.
major PTSD
Mhm.
and everything wrong. And he's just like, there's somebody, you know what? I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to pick up Jake Busey.
I think a
This
better
guy doesn't
plot.
look crazy at all.
I think a better plot for a sequel would have been, you have new characters, they pick up a hitchhiker, and then Jim Halsey is like the head of the police force for that area. And so he's like, not
Oh, okay, I
again,
see.
type
Yeah.
thing.
And
Instead of
he's
him
just,
being
yeah,
like, I'm going to just do the thing I did, 20 years ago and make that
yeah.
same
And
mistake. And
before you know it, you got like
I'm
Hitcher
sorry.
12 where
I'm
he's
driving
doing
down
the
the
same
road.
thing.
I'm driving down the road and I see Jake Busey on the side hitchhiking. I'm like, nope, not
Yeah.
today, pal.
I'm not picking up that guy, not that crazy face guy. But there we go. I mean, look, obviously, look, the movie itself, The Hitcher, is just there's so much that you can talk about with this movie. I think obviously we've spoken loads about the movie. It's got this is a movie like we mentioned right at the start of this, and we do our overall thoughts of them in a minute and that. But I do believe like it is one of those movies that's a little bit right in saying that it might not be for everyone. Like you mentioned earlier on, this may not potentially be for what if people are modern day audience of horror who really like what is coming out now. I don't know whether this is something they would want to venture back to and then go, do you know what? Like it's exactly what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it when people now watch it and go, well, maybe not. But I think it is one of those movies that, obviously came out at a time when, and I actually think that this movie was probably a little bit ahead of its time in regards to the type of film, which might have been why it didn't do so well. When it came out in '86, I feel that this film sort of feels like a mid '90s movie for me. Like it almost feels like almost like a David Fincher time sort of movie. That's how this movie feels to me. Where it was like with Fincher, obviously we know we get these sort of build up, slow burn movies that have these moments of impact that happen throughout it, and that's how I feel like with The Hitcher as well. It is a film that has these moments, and it builds up and builds up, and then you have a moment, and then you go back to building it up and building it up, and then you have the moment. And that's what The Hitcher is like. So I think if you like movies like, and you haven't seen, if you like films that are like slow to build, but then keep going on a journey and have a trajectory during the end with great cinematography, great performances, and every moment pays off like really well. And you have these great scenes where you're like, "Fuck, that went really dark." Then I think that this movie definitely deserves like a lot of more attention than I think it gets. I think it's definitely getting more now, but I think it has always sort of really, I think, deserves more attention than it's got. But then people might think it's shit, and I could be talking absolute bollocks.
No, I mean this movie does not get talked about enough. It's I think I to be honest, I never see it like anyone talking about it on
Yeah,
social media. It's wild to think about because it's of how good it is and just what the performances, especially Rutger Hauer, like it's
yeah,
never talked about enough. When you talk about Rutger Hauer, it's Blade Runner. It's
yeah,
his small role in Batman Begins. It's Hobo with a Shotgun.
yeah,
It's those type of performances, and you're just like, no, man. Like my number one performance from Rutger Hauer, I would put it above his performance in Blade Runner. Like it's so good because of what
yeah,
the impact of his performance did on me personally. Like he gave me nightmares. He made me never want to
yeah.
pick up a hitchhiker. Like what he was able to do affected my life forever.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're exactly right. Like like I said earlier on, for me, there's not many people out there that can give performances that make you feel the exact way that they want you to feel
Mm-hmm.
when you're watching it. Like you aren't going to get something like Orlando Bloom doing something like this.
Yeah.
All you're going to get is him breathing heavily before he says a fucking line. In this, you're watching every fucking moment Like that's what I love. Like what I love about being able, like I've seen this movie like yourself. I've seen this movie so many times now that now I get to pick almost what I watch when I'm watching the movie. And one of the things that I'm always drawn into watching is Rutger Hauer and every single thing that he does. Like is purposeful. And I enjoy knowing that, and I enjoy watching it. Like I love seeing how he sits. I love seeing how he's using his hands. I love seeing the way that he's like. He's in. Like the fact that, like we've mentioned, he's sneezing and things like that, and you're like, does he need to do that? No. But he is, because it's Rutger Hauer. Yep. And it's just so fucking great. And I'm with you. Like for me, like this is a movie that the movie should be talked about way more than it should. You're right, it never really comes up in conversation, and it should. But this is also like the movie, whenever anybody's talking about Rutger Hauer, for me, like I'm with you, this is the movie where they should be going Rutger Hauer from the Hitcher. Like that's what should be happening, but it doesn't. It goes Rutger Hauer, like you say, like Blade Runner and all that sort of stuff. But for me, this is the Rutger Hauer. As much as I love what Rutger Hauer has done, this is the Rutger Hauer movie where I'm like, I remember him for this movie. And it's also been such a huge influence on me as well, personally. But the whole film is just a real standout, and I really love it. But I always have to add some production info. I love doing like a couple of production info and facts and so on in this. Rutger Hauer did a lot of the stunt driving throughout the movie, which amazed the crew and even the real stunt drivers. I mean, Rutger Hauer does come across as one of those people that's probably fucking great at everything. So like he's one of those people who just picks up something and goes, yeah, I can do that. So that doesn't surprise me at all. C. Thomas Howell admitted that he was actually afraid of Rutger Hauer on and off set because of Hauer's general intensity. Doesn't fucking surprise me. I would probably shit myself constantly as well.
Oh, absolutely.
The writer, producer, and director, and obviously big-time Hollywood man, Christopher Nolan, he has listed this as one of his favorite movies. Now, I didn't know about that when I saw this fact. I didn't know about that, but now I can't stop thinking about Christopher Nolan movies and thinking about there's a lot of like cinematical aesthetics that are like the Hitcher. Like if you look at a lot of like the Batman movies and stuff like that, when I was looking at the Batman movies, I was just like, there's a lot of like what reminds me of the Hitcher in that movie. So that I found that quite interesting. That like afterwards, I was just like, oh, hang on, yeah, I get that. I sort of see that now. It could be bollocks, but I don't give a fuck. I've read it, and that's what I think. But yeah, it's interesting that once again, obviously, one of the biggest Hollywood directors there is working today. This is one of his favorite movies, so we're definitely not fucking wrong.
Right.
Despite the fact that he has no identifying documents, John Ryder is seen having 2 wedding rings on one finger. They, of course, they might be trophies from a previously murdered couple.
Did notice the wedding ring, and I was like, oh, so there's some dark past
Mrs. Ryder.
Yeah, but instead it's like, no, I feel that's the answer. They're trophies.
Yeah, he might have been like the wedding ring killer before he became the Hitcher or something.
Before that's wedding rings all over his fingers.
Absolutely. And once again, like it just makes the character more exciting in regards to, like we've mentioned, everything is open to interpretation. That's what makes, like, when movies are great, when they open everything into interpretation. You can think what you want of these characters, and John Ryder is definitely one of those. The last fact that I've got is while performing the last sequence of the windshield stunt, Rutger Hauer knocked out one of his teeth with the shotgun he was holding in his hand. So I don't know if you see it on screen at all, but he knocked out one of his beautiful teeth. But, commitment. I'm sure Rutger Hauer was probably like, yeah, well, I'll knock them all out if I have to get this performance right. There we go. So very quickly, look, we've spoken loads about it before we get into, like, the last segments of it and so on. For one, very quick overall thoughts on the movie. And do you have a favourite scene?
Favorite scene? Boy, that's a tough one, because I think, any scene that Rutger Hauer is in is a favorite scene. It's wild. But I
Yeah,
love the truck scene, and not for the fact of what's going on with her. It's the conversation in the truck.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's the look in his eyes, it's the look in Halsey's eyes as he has the gun pointed at his face. It's it's just intense, and you can see the fear in Halsey's face. You can see the disappointment in Ryder's face, and it just culminates into how I feel for this movie as a whole. And it's like there's just so much more to it than just psycho hitchhiker goes on a killing spree. It's so much more than that. And I think for anyone out there listening to this episode or watching this video, go back and watch this movie with that mindset. Look for new things. I think that's the beauty of it. And I love that every time I'm on this show, I feel like I think more than I usually do. I know when we talked about The Shining, it's just that one of my biggest things was every time I watch that movie, I find something new. And
yeah,
The Hitcher is that is a very similar movie to me. I haven't seen this movie in probably over 10 years. It's been a long time. And sitting down to watch it now as a someone in their mid 30s compared to watching it for the first time when I was 10, I was picking up on those things. The fact of having that theory of him being that supernatural force was never in my head back then. Was
yeah,
never even a
yeah,
thought. It was just, this guy's a psychopath and he is just
yeah,
torturing this man, where it's like now I am kind of putting more to this character and what his end goal actually is. It's not just to be a serial killer. It's to end some sort of suffering that he is going through. And I just, my overall thought of this movie is it's just so underappreciated. The fact that no one talks about it on social media, the fact that when you talk about like influential horror movies, this is never mentioned. Like, it's
yeah,
wild because like what you were talking about Near Dark earlier, and Near Dark is a movie that I have only seen one time in my entire life. So, but I see people talk about it a lot. Like, it is definitely one of those, like, when you talk about vampire movies, that is usually in people's top 5 vampire movies of all time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this just isn't talked about, and I'm not even gonna say enough. It's just never talked about.
yeah, yeah. Like it
So
never comes up.
I hope this episode really brings people out and gets people talking about the Hitcher. I really hope more people cover this movie in the future because it needs to be talked about more. I even though I'm here talking to you about this movie, I have no doubt that some point down the road I will be covering this movie on my own show because it just needs to be discussed. And I love that the discussion that we've had today, because I think a lot of people weren't thinking of this movie in the sense that we were. So,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the way that what's great about what you've just said and about what I've already mentioned goes to show how great of a movie this is. That throughout everything that happens in this movie, all the fucked up stuff that happens, our two favorite scenes in the movie is conversation,
mhm.
and that goes to show how great the movie is created and made, how well it's structured and how well it's performed. That even though you get some fucked up shit that happens in it, and the pure things that would be considered the horror. For me, the most horrifying elements of it is the conversations that we see. Your favorite is the conversation on the truck. Not necessarily the action that takes place, it's the conversation and what that conversation means and how it goes. That's more terrifying, really, than what happens. And for me, like I mentioned, the conversation at the diner, where it's good, Rutger Hauer's performance. It's very, it goes to show how top tier and how top class this movie is. That they're the moments that we think are our favorite moments of the movie, is just conversation and how impactful they are on us, rather than the blood, the guts, the gore that we get from so many other movies. Or like there is that in this movie, there are some fucked up things that happen, and most of the times we've already mentioned we don't see those things that happen, but we know they're bad and we know they're fucked up. And like we've said, we know that, or we feel that we know that there's a reason why those things happen. But the fact that it's just conversations that are our favorite scenes go to show, that goes to the credit of this movie. It goes to everything. The fact that Robert Harmon, I almost forgot them, but Robert Harmon, he might have gone on to make loads of movies with somebody with a giant moustache. But at this moment in 1986, this movie came out, and he managed to create a movie that, for me, like you mentioned, has nowhere been seen enough. Is nowhere near talked enough. But also, what I love about this movie, that if you are somebody that loves like horror movies, I think that this is for you. As long as you're fine of waiting for a payoff, and you're waiting, and you just don't want action, guts, gore, blood constantly. Well, this movie isn't going to be for you. But if you're okay watching, like a film with an idea, with a concept, with a structure, then you'll like this movie. But I also like the fact that this is a type of movie that anybody that wants to be a filmmaker, or somebody that wants to make movies or be in movies or so on, I also feel that this movie can easily be homework for those people as well, because this is a movie there where you go, take it apart, like I said that I do with every movie. You take it apart, and every single part of it is almost perfect. Like, it works so well to the highest level, that I think that you can do the two parts with this movie. You can love it for what it is, but in regards to what we see on screen, but you can also love it for what went into creating what we see. And I think that that's, once again, a testament to this movie, and another reason as to why I don't know why people don't even know about it or have never seen it. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to me. It's one of those weird things where I'm like, I don't know why this isn't on lists of people's like top movies of this or so on like that, or top 100 movies. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
it's weird that this movie's never seen on anything. But like you mentioned, like, hopefully that if whoever this episode goes to, hopefully they're like, oh shit, I haven't seen the Hitcher, or maybe I should go and watch the Hitcher so I can listen or watch this episode. But yeah, like, it's fucking criminal that this movie isn't, like we've mentioned, this isn't the movie that people know Rutger Hauer for, because a lot of the time they haven't seen it, and that's wild to me. It's absolutely fucking insane. But yeah, I love this movie. I don't need to say anything more on it. I've said it all throughout it. I just think people need to fucking watch it. Simple as that. And if you hate it, then that's fine. You can tell me how much you hate it. You're wrong. But I don't give a fuck. But yeah, it's always been a movie that I've loved, and it's been more than just a movie to me. It's been something that's very influential. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to be an actor and a filmmaker. Is this movie is one of the reasons. It's more than just a movie to me. It's part of me. The movie that no one fucking talks about is a big part of my life. So yeah, there we go. So obviously, we have the segment Your First Time. Now, I know I've been away, but luckily, I had some already sent to me anyway. So I'll go through that in a second anyway. And we don't obviously have to do yours, Parker, because we've gone through Your First Time as well anyway, like 100 times. So we're okay. But there is something I'll give you. I will do one thing with you that I'm going to do with any returning guests anyway. But this one was sent over to me by Jay, who is actually one of the hosts from the Girl and the Gay podcast. He sent this over from Instagram, so you can go and follow him over there at Lumberjay Reviews. He's a great guy. He's been on the show before. Make sure you go and follow everything he does. But he sent me his first time horror movie memory was, so House on Haunted Hill was my first horror film that I watched, but the first horror scene I saw was a little bit younger. My brother was watching Friday the 13th, and Kevin Bacon's death was on at that point, and it scared me so much I wouldn't sleep lying on my back because of what happened to him. I'm sure you're not the only one, Jay. I'm sure a lot of people had many nightmares of an arrow piercing their throat. Or they just had dreams of bacon. You never know. Or
I've
Kevin
had
Bacon.
Bacon.
I've never had a dream about Kevin Bacon, but I've had dreams about bacon. But yeah, so thank you. So anybody out there, obviously, I need as many as I can get. So if you want your first time horror movie memory read out on the show, all you've got to do is pop over to Instagram or anywhere. As long as you send me a direct message, Send me as much detail as you can, and I will add it into the show, because I always love reading and hearing your first time horror memories, because obviously it reminds me of mine. A lot of time it reminds the guests of theirs. And as I always say, the reason I add this in is because we never forget our first horror movie. Although, unless you, I don't know, if you don't remember it, you're probably already dead inside. I don't know. Horror is one of those things that stays with you for forever and ever. But one thing I was going to ask you, Parker, what you can do instead is give me a very quick recommendation rather than not the Hitcher, because we know that everybody needs to fucking watch the Hitcher, but give us a quick recommendation.
Oh, you gotta put me on the spot here. I'm awful with these things. I'm trying to look around my room here and see like, oh yeah, watch this. I will always recommend a movie. It has nothing to do with this movie. It is far. It's like this is a movie where, like we talk about the Hitcher. You can watch it any way you want, but if you just want to sit down, turn your brain off, just have a good time. I'm a huge creature feature fan. Love creature features. Jaws is, I think, the king of creature features. But one of my favorite creature features is Anaconda from 1997. It's a horror movie. People die in horrific ways, but there's gigantic snakes that scream. It's got a John Voight with an awful accent. It's got J-Lo.
Yeah.
It's got some awesome animatronics. It's got Frank Welker.
Owen Wilson.
It's got Owen Wilson. It's got Frank Welker doing some of the Anaconda screams. It's just a fun movie. It's just one of those movies. Yeah. If you're having a bad day, throw on Anaconda, and I think you're gonna have a good time. Don't overthink the movie. Just don't do it. That'll be your biggest mistake watching a movie like Anaconda. Is that you're gonna overthink it, and you're gonna go, "This is dumb." Yes, it is dumb, but it's meant to be that way, and that's why it's so fun. So Anaconda,
yeah, absolutely. There we go. I love it. Well, that's what I'm going to start. If I do have repeat guests on the show, that's what I'm going to start doing. Is I won't ask them obviously their first time memory anymore. I'm just going to start going for recommendations. And Anaconda is a great one. And you're actually exactly right, because what I love about Anaconda is it came out around the time where we had those movies where you're like, don't fucking overthink it. You had like Deep Blue Sea. You had Lake Placid. Although I've had such a fucking urge to watch Lake Placid, and I can't find it anywhere. I haven't seen it for ages. I'm sure that's the one with the giant like alligator. I think it is.
Currently, I mean, because you're in the UK, so I know it's different over there. But I think recently, I just checked yesterday. It's been popping up all over the place for me. I think it's on Shudder or it's on AMC Plus. Nice. So.
Yeah, we'll find it somewhere. But yeah, Lake Placid was another one, and you're exactly right. You just watch those movies from the 90s like that, and you're just like, just don't worry about it. Like disrespect, like your belief, so to speak. Like it's not fucking meant to be real. It's just meant to be fun. So just enjoy those journeys. So that's a good recommendation, because I actually was going to watch Anaconda the other day, so I sort of gutted I didn't now. But I will watch it at some point. But I've been every now and again, especially with my time away from this, I've been sort of going through a lot of the movies where I'm like, I just need to watch movies where I don't have to think about stuff at the moment. And Anaconda and movies like that are great movies. I recently finally got a chance to watch Trick or Treat from, I think it's another movie from 86, possibly.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it before because it hasn't come out in this country. And I've spent like years, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to see it. I was like, this is a fucking like metal punk rock sort of movie, horror movie. Like, I want to fucking see this. This is like going to be my shit. And then I never got a chance to see it. And yet in another, I think I had to get it from Germany because I had no idea it was called Ragman in Germany, because obviously that's what they sort of called him in the movie. It wasn't like Trick or Treat. So I found it under Ragman, and now I finally got it on Blu-ray and got to watch it. And now it's literally like one of my favorite fucking things I've seen for ages. I'm like, this is so fucking good, this movie. And so expect an episode about that at some point, that nobody in the UK will know fucking anything that I'm going on about. But that's a great little movie. But yeah, there's so many great little recommendations. So, but expect more of those. But yeah, as I said, if you want your horror memories read out on the show, just send them over to me on Instagram, ideally. But you can send them over to me on the others. I just might not read them, and that's on you. There we go. That's the episode. Pretty much, we've spoken about everything we can about the Hitcher. You can obviously tell that both Brett Parkers absolutely love the movie. We both agree on things that other people may not agree on, but also that it might not be things that when people have seen this movie, they might not think of it like that. And hopefully we've opened up people to think a little bit more about that. Because for me, and I don't know, I'm sure it probably is with you a little bit more, the more you watch it with me, the amount of times I've seen this, I will happily definitively say that there is more to John Ryder. There is more than just a psychotic human being. There is way more than that, and I think that adds another level of fun and conversation to this movie. And I think that I feel like it was meant to be. The older I get and the more I watch it, the more I feel that it's meant to happen that way. And obviously, that's down to everybody that created this movie at an incredibly high level that no one's seen. And so everybody needs to fucking watch it. But there we go. So that's the episode. Parker, now is your time to promote the absolute shit out of Dissect That Film. It's a podcast that obviously I absolutely bloody love anyway. I listen to it. So y'all should be too. But for those that don't know, you can tell them what the fuck they're not listening to it and where they can find it.
So I am 1/3 of Dissect That Film. It's me and my wonderful co-hosts Dan and Angela, where we pretty much break down the plots of the good, the bad, and the ugly of cinema. So we talk all genres, all different types of movies. We actually are doing our show is now bi-weekly. By the time this comes out, it'll be bi-weekly, where we are actually going to be doing 2 episodes of the Dissect That Film podcast, and it'll be intertwined with our second show called The Monster Zone, which is a show that is decided by a wheel of monster movies, and we talk about them. That's another one where we talk about movies all the way back to the 50s, all the way to today, and it's all about monsters. That one is hosted by Dan and Angela, and it is me alongside our newest co-host, Mikey. So that's kind of what we're doing here. It's kind of in the same vein as the regular show. We just go through the plot of the movie. We kind of bring our own little commentary to each movie, and it's a great time. It's we're just, we bring our own little sense of comedy to it. We try to make it fun and it's uncensored. It's just us having conversations about all different types of movies, even if it's movies we don't like. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, as they would say.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, everybody, if you're listening to this, then you will be listening to Dissect That Film anyway. But you should be, and I mean, I do anyway. And what I love is because obviously, I surround myself in this horror world all the time. It's nice to go and listen to another podcast that doesn't necessarily base it on horror. And obviously, you've spoken and continue to speak about some of my favorite movies outside of horror as well. So I always love listening to it. Well, actually, I always say listening to it. I like to watch podcasts as well. So you can obviously watch it, you can listen to it. But I always absolutely bloody enjoy it. And it's always an absolute bloody honour having you obviously on the show. In regards to Let's Talk Horror, like I said at the start, I mean, like, we're back. We hit the ground running, talking about maybe a film that we probably shouldn't have come back to in regards to trying to get numbers and people listening to the show. But I don't give a fuck, because this is what Let's Talk Horror is all about. It's about shedding a little bit of light on these sort of movies, and then going, this is why you should be watching these movies. And if you haven't, then why the fuck haven't you? And this is why you should be. And the Hitcher obviously is a shining example of that. But we are going to, this rest of this year, now we're back for Let's Talk Horror. It's going to be, a mixture of movies talking about these cult classics like this. We're going to be talking about some bigger movies, and then we're going to be going back and forth. Basically, whatever the fuck I want. I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want. I don't give a shit what anybody else is doing. I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and I hope that you enjoy it. Normally at the end, I talk a little bit about Patreon, but because of my time away, I obviously stopped my Patreon. I'm not going to keep a Patreon going when I'm not bringing out anything new. That's just fucking not fair at all. So I stopped the Patreon, but I will be bringing that back at some point for anybody that wants to know a little bit more. But in the meantime, obviously, keep keep on the Instagram as well, because that's why I upload mostly. We do have the Instagram lives coming back, which I'm very excited about. In fact, no, I would have already done one anyway, but just keep going on Instagram for the Instagram live. They will be on the last Thursday of every month. That's always fun. We're going to be doing stuff on there. We have quizzes and all that sort of shit. They've always been fun, so we're going to keep doing that. I have the Horrible Morning Show every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. on our YouTube channel. You can come and join me live, where I chat the week's best horror movie news and just have a general chit chat with you about horror. If you can get on that live, please do, but you can watch it later. It's just more fun doing it live, because last time I did it live, I nearly choked on a crumpet, and that was fucking hilarious. Well, for everybody else, it wasn't hilarious for me because I nearly died. But, you know, how more English can you fucking get? Choking on a crumpet. But there we go. You know, like we've got loads of stuff that is happening now. We're back. And there's loads more things that I've got in the works. Of course, I'm going to be bringing back Dissected, which is my other side series where I speak to filmmakers. There's loads more to come with Let's Talk Horror. I'm so grateful that all of you have been on this journey with me. I hope that you continue to be on this journey with me. You know, let's see what fucking chaos we can cause together in this horror world. And Parker, once again, thank you for being on the show, being for my first guest back. I hope that I haven't fucked it up too much for you.
No, this was great. It was great to be back. It's great to have you back. And it was great to talk about a hidden gem that people need to definitely be checking out more. So Absolutely. Thank you again.
There we go. Oh, no, thank you so much, Parker. Thank you for coming on. Thank you to all of you. Until next time, stay creepy, fuckers.